Alaikum tilaf, spiruding coffee. Little bit late today. Salute to you. Mm, yum. Oh, got my nice cup of coffee here and very excited. So many new things happening in my life and sort of how I'm engaging it and what I'm up to. And, just as life continues, right? The illusion, the grand illusion continues to creep up and move forward with us. It's pretty crazy. Um, Lots going on. Just kind of do that and put my hair to the side. So what are we going to talk about today? Sort of I don't know. I think that I'm ready to actually start to date again. And I'm putting that out here on um, social media because relationships are the intimate relationships are the hardest lessons we can go through in life. Not easy. And typically, what it does is it sort of illuminates or ignites the parts of ourselves that we maybe lessons that we need to learn in life. It's very rare, but it does happen that two people meet and they jive and they're good for each other. And there's no triggers, but that's not typically the case, right? It's like you can only be around someone for so long before something's going to break and there's going to be a disagreement or a falling out. Doesn't have to be crazy, but it does happen. So I'm thinking about doing this social experiment. I'm gonna call it a social experiment. Let's just go and see. Go on different dates and see what happens. I don't know. I mean, I maybe am ready to like actually be in a committed relationship. And what does that look like? It's even sort of scary to say it because it's almost like the expectations or the ideals that we put around being in a relationship, right? As soon as that happens, some energy shifts. There's these weird expectations show up, things change. It's just an interesting thing that happens. And so it's been a very long time that I felt this because I have gone through trauma when it comes to relationships. Not in a way that like I was abused or anything like that, but and I've said this on here before, my high school, good morning, how are you? Good morning. My high school sweetheart passed away when I was 23. And so that like set the stage for every relationship, right? It was almost like I call it the Marilyn Monroe effect because the relationship, it was crazy. Don't get me wrong, we were crazy kids. But the love that we had was so real and raw and authentic that it's sort of I have this idea in my head that that's the way things should be, and that's not real life. Especially at my age, that's not. But I have this in my head that I should be experiencing that. Good morning, Gina. Good morning, Claire. So I think I'm ready to step into a relationship, which is kind of scary in some ways, and I don't really know how to go about it. So if you guys have this would be new territory for me altogether. Good morning, Betty. New territory in all aspects of my life. Good morning, Tim, because I don't know what to do. I'm so clueless. And I don't even know that I know how to behave. Like, I don't know that I'm cut out for that relationship stuff, but willing to try it, I think. I say I think after I said I'm committed to doing it. And my friend said to get on these dating apps. Oh, look, there she is. Good morning, Yaya. Talking about relationships. To get on these dating apps. And I'm like, I don't know. Those things creep me out. So I don't know if you guys have done those before, but what are some of the things that you've done? Have you gotten on the dating apps? If so, what was I would love to know what your experience was. Hi, relationships. Wow, good for you. Can't wait to see who that is because I'm Gladys Kravitz from Bewitched. Tell me from Bewitched. Tell me. I never really watched Bewitched, but tell me what her character was. I mean, I don't know. I end up alone. I say I'm going to do it, and then I never do it. So who knows? I've been single for a very long time. So it's hard. It's hard for me to like throw myself out there. A little scary. If you go slow, oh, good. I'm glad you guys are giving me some advice. This is awesome. Could you imagine a reality show of me trying to date? That could be a reality show, trust me. If you go slow, it's got time to grow. If you go too fast, it won't last. I like that. Spend a year of courtship, so you experience the other person overall for seasons. Then you can begin to think about commitment. Yeah, but and I feel that way. I love that response, right? But I think, Gregory, this is like an old school mentality. I don't think people think this way anymore. I don't think I would love to get a group of men, single men, about my age, maybe a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger, and ask them about relationship because I don't seem to think that that's the case anymore. People want to go fast at everything or they don't want to commit. And it's pretty crazy to me because I literally am very old school, very, and that's why I'm single because it's like people want to rush into things. They want to rush relationship. They want to get in, or they just want to sleep around. And I'm not like that, right? It's not my thing. There's nothing wrong with people who are like that. Go for it. Like, again, this is not a judgment platform. If that's what you do, cool. Awesome. Not me. That's not me. It's like you're barking up the wrong tree. Go younger. Okay, go younger. Good morning, Juliet. Thank you guys for listening. It's kind of funny. This is a more lighthearted session and something I've never really talked about on Spirit and Coffee. But I'm being open, and part of the practices. Oh, good afternoon. Um, good. Part of the practices that I live into is being authentic and vulnerable. So this is part of like the vulnerability piece of my life where I feel like such a child. I feel like such an adult in certain parts of my life. And so the way that we break it down, right, in spiritual alchemy or in the esoterics or in engaging in some spiritual practices is we take the domains of our life. I do. Okay. Take the domains of our life. And this is the easiest way to manifest into existence the very thing that you're asking. So it could be beyond relationship or something else, right? But it could be the part where you're like, well, I'm ready to explore this piece or domain of my life that I've never really stepped into. And part of that is to be, living by principles and practices. And those are the practices and principles that I use: authenticity, vulnerability, also commitment, and then what else? Responsibility, personal responsibility for everything that shows up. Okay. And so the authenticity and the vulnerability are really hard ones to get through. It's being able for me to say, hey, I would like to try this out to the entire world on my face because that's me. I don't do anything small, of course. I can't just go tell a friend, hey, I'm ready for this. I get these like sparks of inspiration. I'm like, yes, I want to do this. Okay. And then I don't know because part of it's the practice. And then 5 days later, I'm like, okay, I'm over this. I'm not going to do it. Correct myself up. So am I committed to the long journey of what this could look like? Okay, so let's see what they say. I recommend articulating your values so that you know who you are. I do. And find out what the other people values. Conflicts occur when people don't know themselves. Amen. And conflicts also occur when they do know themselves and the other person doesn't want to accept that that's that person. So that can happen too, where there's always these conflicting ideas of, I want you to be this way and you're not. And it's like, but that's not who I am. So I know exactly who I am. I think that that's what scared so many people away from me because I know, I don't want to say I know exactly who I am, but I know who I am. I'm very clear about my goals, what I'm up to, and I'm very driven. And I don't know if that scares guys. So if there's guys on here, please, why don't you just chime in? You guys could help me through the process of what this might look like. Now, oh, go for it if it doesn't work out. Next. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, do you date multiple people? How do you do it? You guys give me some insight. Assistant needs help. I said this probably years ago and then never followed through with it at all because it's easier just for me to be alone because I can take care of myself. But I want a companion. It's not about taking care of me. I want someone I can connect with, talk with, spend time with, go travel with, do these things with. And I have good friends that I do that with as well. But there's something different with an intimate relationship, right? Anyway, I wanted to throw that out there. If you guys have any more insight, thank you for your mini advice that you guys gave me. If anybody else has anything to chime in, even after the fact, please reach out to me. A sister can use some help, okay? There's things I don't know. I know that I don't know that I don't know, okay? Okay, so let's keep going. We're doing the Kundalini. Me, I can only go on these subjects for so long before I'm right back to where I always am, which is spirituality and how do we connect. Most guys I couldn't handle pretty or that I think for myself. I know within your circle, ask friends if they know someone, friends, a friend. Start there. Oh, that's a good idea. That's good. It's a good idea. Go some blind dates. I'll do real blind dates where we just put on the bandanas on our eyes and talk the whole time. Not even see each other. Okay. That would be kind of fun, huh? I think they have shows like that, but I think it'd be pretty cool to all right, I'm just gonna go. We just sit and we just talk, and our eyes are closed, and then we just see if we can connect just without looking at each other. That'd be kind of cool. I think so. Anyway, okay, let's go. Okay, so now we were talking about the Kundalini, and we were this doctor who was transpersonal psychology was doing stuff on the metaphysics and talking about how this connects to our mind and how we pull the energy into the not the ether because the ether is a little bit higher, but into the space where all exists, right? Into the source, into the sort of the darkness, and talking about how there's paradoxes of the immortal spirit, right? And the paradoxes are paradoxical, but they're not paradoxical because they're part of the same whole. They only seem paradoxical. And that's like the best word to describe what we see as information. Good morning, Suze. As information comes through. Okay. So traditional Kundalini yoga dealt with the paradox of embodied awakening by introducing preliminary spiritual practices that prepare the body for current and high spiritual energies. The practice of ethical purification of awareness directed to bodily sensations and physical postures, breath control were intended to precede the activation of Kundalini energy. Body, psyche, and behavior, thus brought into alignment and harmony, created the perfect container for the awakening of the Kundalini. So it's not just the practice, there's different practices. There are practices on all levels and the breath work. Okay. The breath work is what is important. I have to put my hair up because it's really bothering me, you guys. The breath work is what ignites the fire within us. It allows us to fan the flame. It allows us to move the energy around. Think about air. What does air do? Right? Air moves things around. So air can be sort of purifying as well. It comes in and it cleans up the mist. Is now better. Juliet, what was that question for? Go ahead and tell me. I'm not sure what that was. I probably read it after the fact. Sorry. So the air comes in, and it allows us to awaken and sort of stir up the pot. So you can think about air kind of stirring things up, right? Or energies. And the breath work allows us to do that. Now it starts to stir up the subconscious mind, the things that we don't want, may not want to deal with. It starts to stir up that emotion, the mental stuff that we have that we're holding on to. So think about air kind of. So if we thought about the chakra systems as they say they're wheels that are turning, think of a windmill. And a windmill, when the wind comes, spins it. Now, if the windmill is spinning one direction, but it's supposed to be spinning the other direction, it's going to take winds from another space or place to come and shift the energy over. And that might cause some chaos, right? The dirt might start to swirl up into a spiral. You're going to see all this craziness going on, chaos, right, with the wind to get this to go in the opposite direction. So if you thought about your chakras as that, they're wheels that are spinning, and sometimes they're not spinning in the right direction. You've got to spin them in the other direction. And I'm almost 100% sure that all of the chakras except the solar plexus are counterclockwise. I think that's correct. They spin counterclockwise when they're open and they're balanced and they're firing off the right energy. Now, if they're spinning the opposite direction, that means that you get to look at that particular point in the body and understand what's happening in your life and how do you shift the energy so that it's spinning properly, so you can open up the channels, the energetic channels in your body, so that you can start to synergize and open up your vessel to receive divine intervention or divine calling or divine motivation or inspiration. So let's see here. Ideally, like the river flowing through the clean and welcoming riverbed, the transformational energies penetrate and informed the perfected body without causing any problems of health of the body or mind. Now, that's what I'm saying. When you're dealing with this Kundalini energy, it could be very, very harmful if your body's not ready to receive. Even in the breath work, okay? So it's kind of crazy because and even with my friend, I don't know if my Yaya's still on here, but we were doing Kundalini breath work, and I tell her, and if you're working with elderly people, anyone can do the Kundalini that I do. It's very simple. It's not like this crazy backward bend fold over the head. No, in fact, I look kind of funny doing it, and it's very, very, very basic movements. Anyone could do it. A 90-year-old person in a wheelchair could do some of the movements. I mean, it's just literally for everybody. However, because we breathe shallow, okay, we don't realize how shallow that we breathe in our body. Now, we typically breathe chest only. So really, we only take our air into our chest and then exhale. And that's a very shallow breathing. Rarely do we take our breath down into our diaphragm, down into our gut. So deep breathing, right, slows the heart rate. And in fact, can expand the lifespan. That's what I was telling you guys before about the breath work. So me and my friend were going over this breath work the other day. So I was like, when you breathe in, your belly comes out. When you exhale, your belly goes in. Typically, we do the opposite. When we breathe in, we go, and our chest comes up. But that type of breathing is shallow breathing. So to breathe deeply would be to breathe into the belly and then exhale. And the belly comes in. And if you can push out all of the air, because that's all the toxins that want to come out, right? Carbon dioxide, until you can't anymore. And then you take a deep breath in through the belly, a good belly breath, in through the nose, and exhale again. Here's the deal with it. And here's why it's saying it's not going to cause you harm. But if your body's not used to breathing this way, you will get dizzy, lightheaded, and fall over. That's how powerful our breath is. And we don't even realize it. I literally, when I first did my first Kundalini, it was very easy work, but the breath work was the most important part. And I nearly fell over and blacked out. I was like, whoa, who needs to like go out and drink alcohol or do all these crazy things when all they have to do is breathe correctly and they're going to be buzzed? Because that's how I felt. I felt like I was intoxicated. It was crazy. It was the weirdest, craziest thing ever. And I'm like, why can't I breathe right now? I had my mom do it. She did the same thing. And I told her, you got to be very slow with the breath because we are not used to breathing properly. And when we do, when we take in that much oxygen and we're exhaling all of that stuff, we get lightheaded. It's pretty crazy, actually, how it happens. So, and it's very easy breath work. It's not like it's not like crazy over the top stuff. But when we start to learn to breathe, so the next time that I did it, I was able to breathe even more deep and more deep and more deep and more deep and more. And when I was able to take in all of that air and breathe out for a long period of time and slow my breath, I could feel the balance in my body. When I was able to connect to the divine self, there wasn't as much physical harm. Now, when my chakras are open, when I'm firing up, when I'm all in balance, I receive messages. And this is where people's psychic ability kicks in, that kind of stuff. And some people can't handle it in the physical body because we have to take care of our physical body to receive that information, right? It's like, God is too great. Like, if we become God, I think we just disappear, right? If we go back into God, we'll just disappear. Our bodies are too dense. So the lighter that we become, good morning, Antonio, the lighter that our body is, the lighter that our body can become, the less dense that we make our body, the easier it is for us to receive the divine intervention, the divine message that we're supposed to receive. And we won't be out forever. So notice that spiritual practitioners, right, when they're doing their practice, like you would say a curandera or a yogi or whatever, they have to take breaks because they're exuding so much of their energy out. They're utilizing their energy and their body can't handle all of it. It's the same with Kundalini practice. It's the same with any spiritual practice. We've got to rest and pause because our body's very dense. Okay, let's see, Julia. The shallow breathing, is it helpful to the body because I do it regular? Shallow breath is, so the more shallow, the less lifespan. So dogs pant, right? Their breathing is very shallow. So their lifespan is shorter, right? Because it heightens the heartbeat. When we take deep breaths, we slow the heart. So the heart's not working overtime. I mean, think about the heart just in general. I've talked about this before on here because it amazes me. This is really, to me, one of the most amazing organs that we have is our heart. Our heart beats. Like, I don't feel it beating. Sometimes I do, like if I'm working out, I can feel it. But typically, I don't feel my heart beating, but my heart is beating every single day I'm alive. How many beats do you think our heart beats before we die? It's crazy to me. And am I giving it directions to do that? No, it just naturally does it. This is God's design, which is so phenomenal. I didn't create it. It's there in me. It was my gift. It was given to me. It belongs to me. And so the heart itself, when we overwork the heart, we're pumping the blood, we're putting our body into stress. When we breathe shallow, we are increasing our heart rate. So when we breathe deeply, we slow down our heart rate. And when we learn to slow the breath, we expand our life because our heart is pumping slower. It's almost like time is slowing. The slower the heartbeat, the slower the time. The faster the heartbeat, the faster the time. So learn to breathe and slow the heart. Now you'll get super dizzy if you do it the right way. If you've never done it before and you're doing it right, you're going to get dizzy. That's just what happens. And then when you learn how to do it and you start to be able to receive more oxygen and your body's like letting go of the carbon dioxide, because we really don't breathe out enough either. We don't until there's nothing to take in all the oxygen that we can. So I worked for the American Lung Association for quite some time. I learned a lot about the lungs and our lung obstruction. Sometimes there's chronic illness in the lungs where we can't take in enough air, but there's also where we're not breathing out enough air. And because we can't breathe out all of the air, we can't take in enough air. So the obstruction there is what happens. It's inflammation in the lung cavity, and then we're not able to push out enough air to bring in enough air. So it's both ways, and it can happen either way. And if you're breathing shallowly either way, it sucks. It sucks. That's why this whole mask thing is not good. It's not that it's, not protecting whatever. It's not about that. It's the breath. You literally can't, you're really stopping yourself from breathing properly. You can't breathe properly when that thing's on your face. You can't. For me, I get anxiety and panic with that. I can't, because I know what it's like to be without breath. I've had asthma attacks my whole life. And so it is not fun. It's like someone who's running and running and running and running and they can't catch their breath. And or choking, or it's the worst thing to feel like you can't breathe or your breath's going to be taken away from you. Good morning, Nisha. So slow breathing, slow breath, big inhales. I think, Nisha, you are doing Kundalini, correct? I think it was you who said you were doing it. And Nisha, I'd ask you, because I believe it was you, if you got dizzy when you took the right, correct breath. No, I'm reading the Anatomy of the Spirit. Oh, yay! That is so awesome. I love Carolyn Mice. And Sacred Contracts is another book. Anyway, that's a great book. Who was it that was doing Kundalini? Somebody on here was I know who it was. I just finished Sacred Contracts. Oh, good for you. Awesome. Yeah, Sacred Contracts, really good. Oh, you're welcome. You're so welcome. I have tons more books if you're interested. I'm like, read these. Some people ask me what I read, give them books, and then I don't know if they ever read them, because I'm like, when you're done, let me know. I'll tell you what more books to read. Yeah, Sacred Contracts, really good book. I like, and I would love to perhaps do the chart that she has on there one day. I've wanted to do it with somebody forever and ever and ever, and I never did. I don't know why I was waiting on somebody to do it with me, because maybe I perhaps was scared of what my different archetypes were going to show up. But the thing with the archetypes on Sacred Contracts is that I've sort of pinpointed some of my archetypes based on that book, because that book was really a good guide to help me figure out what different archetypes arise within me in certain situations. So I know who I become in different situations. Like my girlish charm, I understand my childlike innocence. I know what archetype that is. My God self, I know what archetype that is. My Aphrodite, I know what archetype that is. Hey, Curtis, how are you? Oh, I'm always at it. I'll never stop this. I'm glad you're on here, though. It's good to see you. So Sacred Contracts, I had the book forever and someone stole it from me. They took my books. They took a bunch of books that were very important to me that I probably need to go rebuy because I don't like people. I don't give away my books. My books are my books. They belong to me. I'm a book fanatic. I love my little library. And I had a bigger library of books, but some amazing stuff in there. And the chart is really, I think, helpful probably to help you figure out. And I think she put it in astrology, like the houses, the different numbers and numerology, which is what I use, right? Because the Kabbalah, all that stuff is interconnected. And most people don't realize that it's all interconnected. You know, it's not one or the other. It's like people say, well, it's Christ, it's this. Well, no, but there's more too. And there's teachings that go deeper in, if you look deeper into the teachings, there's other things that pull into existence. And it's really your way of expressing the same information that's been utilized and perhaps can help other individuals with their journey, and then they find their own path and their own way based on all of the information that they receive. So I have my own curriculum too, right? So Nisha, I've created my own curriculum based on all the information I've ever read or all the information and the practices I've ever done, because I don't just read this information, I practice it in my life. It's a daily practice. Like I just got up this morning, one of my practice. So I get up in the morning, the daily practice, get up, and I was trying to do Kundalini, but that's like not working, right? It's not. My breath work isn't working out for me, but I'm slowly starting to add it back into my life. But this morning I did a bar class where I'm learning. I want to strengthen my hips. So what did I do? I got up this morning and I did a bar class to strengthen my hips. That was one of my practices. Another practice is doing spirit and coffee. I've been doing this for over 2 years. It's a practice, right? It's a daily practice for me. It's become habit already. And the greatest salesman in the world, if you do that whole thing and you do it for the time span that it is, literally will transform your life. 300 days of commitment, which I did 300 days of commitment with my friends. And those little practices, meditation, working out is a practice for me. Drinking my coffee, that's a practice. I love my coffee. Cooking all my food every day. I cook my food. I don't go out to eat. That's a practice. So putting into place these practices, making my bed every day is a practice. And that was something that I started on Spirit and Coffee. I said to you people, I am going to make my bed every day. I am committed to doing this. I'm preaching it. I'm telling people to do it, so I get to do it. And guess what? I've been at it. Now it's a habit. I make my bed every single day. Little things like that will help us, okay? It's the practice. Okay. Someone gets mad at me. They say K so much. I picked that up from a friend of mine, okay? And it just went in the head and didn't even realize I was saying it. Okay. Yes. Did you feel like what was being taught was innately understood already? Oh, yeah. And I think that that's with a lot of things, even things that I say. I think that people know this stuff because it's part of who we are. I'm not teaching anybody anything new. It's a reminder because I feel like we get amnesia, right, Nisha? Like we get amnesia, like I get amnesia, like myself. And even me expressing on here is a reminder to me because I'm like, oh, yeah, I say these things and I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. But that makes sense to me. So we already have this information in us. But sometimes we forget it's there because we're so busy with our life. But now, because we've slowed down, because of the pandemic, because of everything that's happening, right? That we now are in our ability to remember the things that we already innately know. We already know it. It's always been there. Hi, Mama. Hi, Mama. Hi. So it's already been inside of us. We've always had it. But sometimes we just forget and we read it. We're like, yeah, I know that. But do we know it? So here's the difference. It's the knowing it, but then the practicing it is the hard part. And that's what I talk about on here. That's why I do Spirit and Coffee as well, because Yeah, we can know it, but are we practicing it? To know is one thing. To practice is a whole other ordeal. It's like for me, I'm going to love unconditionally. I'm going to love everybody. And I think last year, a couple years ago, my New Year's resolution was to love unconditionally. That wasn't an easy task. What did that mean? That meant I get to love everything and everyone, no matter what, even if they cut me off in traffic, even even if they say hateful things on this platform to me, even if they spit in my face. I'm going to love them no matter what. Now, the practice of it was super hard. It sounded really good when I said it. It sounds really good on paper, but in practice, it doesn't look as pretty as it sounds. It's very complicated and hard to do. But what did I learn? I learned a lot about myself in the practice of it because it was a reminder to me on how to be kind and gentle, compassion, love, forgiveness, all these lessons that came up over and over. So we have it in us, but practicing is sometimes very exhausting. It's not easy to practice a spiritual life your whole life. It's not. Everybody thinks it's roses and da 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 da, and it's not. And you never arrive. You're always on the journey. It never goes away. It's not like one day it just disappears. No, the next issue shows up, and then the next one, and then the next one, and we're just dealing with it over and over and over. And like I always say, the difference between the beginner and the master is not that the master doesn't feel the pain and the sorrow, the hurt. It's that the master has been well practiced, that they can transform the energy faster. So they can go from anger to peace and tranquility in a matter of seconds because their process is so fast. That's it. It's not that they don't experience it. And for anybody to say that they don't experience anger, frustration, I would challenge that. Even monks, even they're just learning how to handle the energy that comes from that anger. How do I redirect that energy? How do I utilize it in a way that's meaningful? So we're never going to be perfect here in the material world. That's not the point. The point isn't for you to be perfect. It's not for you to save people. It's just for you to learn yourself, understand yourself, bring yourself back to harmony and peace and tranquility, and learn that practice fast. And in order to know that process, you have to know thyself. You have to know yourself. But if we're busy pointing fingers at trying to understand everybody else, we ain't never going to get there. It's like yesterday. Okay, I'm going to tell you what happened yesterday, and that's in my own life. Things got crazy, right, in my own personal family, and I said, you know what, shut up. So I just, and that was my process. Shut it. No need to ignite a fire where a fire doesn't need to be ignited, because whatever triggers are in me is not their problem. It's mine. How do I deal with it? How do I communicate it? How do I understand it for myself? So I walk away, and that's typically what I do. And you'll notice that most people who are in the practice and mastering their skill of spirituality won't speak, especially in conflict. They have no need to make people understand their point of view. That's not the point. I'm not right. Right? There's no right, wrong, good, or bad. I'm not right. What am I right about? Nothing. Sometimes you have to just be the observer of somebody and let them live it through. That's not an easy task, especially when you're dealing with kids, where you want them to do the right thing and you can see it because you've been through it, but it's up to them to have to fall and go through it. And you have to just kind of step back and let it happen. And that's not easy. And not a I told you so after. But what did you learn from that? What did you learn from that lesson? But we want to insert and engage and tell people what to do with their lives. No, it's not easy though. It's not easy. It's taking me a lot of time to just, and I go through the conversation in my head and blah, 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 every scenario. And I'm like, shut up. Why am I having a conversation with myself right now in my head about this thing that doesn't matter? But I do. Okay. Let's see what this says. When the student is ready, teacher appears. Absolutely. Like when we have to be reminded of we were honestly taught to forget. Yes, I totally agree. Yes. Hi, Ron. How are you? I don't know who Ron is. I don't see Ron. Love that. Definitely needed to hear that. Yeah, don't be so hard on yourself. That's what I tell my niece. I call her baby Padawan. I said, I don't know how you can handle me. I don't know how you've been around me all these years, but you do. um, and she's a baby Padawan, and she gets hard on herself, and I see her being me because I'm hard on myself, and I'm like, I tell her, what do you? No, it's okay. You're gonna fail. Everybody does. I mean, it's part of life. Or we need to pivot. I don't know if we fail. We just look at the things that aren't working and we pivot a little bit, and that's okay. Don't be so hard. Be gentle. I tell her, it's taking me years to get where I'm at. This didn't happen overnight. Okay, where I'm at today, I'm in a really good, a really good space. Hi, Betty. I know Betty was on here still. And in the space that I'm at, right, that I came, it took me a long time. It didn't just happen. I've gone through so much crap. Good morning, Poeta. And in that process or transition to get where I'm at, this child will look up to me and think, oh, I have to be like that. No, you're going to have your own journey. You're going to have your own lives. You're going to have your own practices. And all it's going to take is you to continue to commit to and continue to move through it over and over and over again till you get to a place where you become automatic. It becomes an automatic for you. It's like your body when you automatically get up at a certain time. Your body's trained that way. So it's like you're in training all the time. So train yourself to breathe deeply. That's something that I'm going to say. Try it. Go online, look up some Kundalini breath work. Be very careful about who you follow, but do some research, a little bit of research. Look at Kundalini breath work and ask yourself, try to do some of the techniques and be very gentle and slow with the process again. I'm going to say that again. Be slow with the process. I'm going to keep saying that because you can literally pass out from taking too much breath. Like literally. My person who was teaching me, my Kundalini instructor, he literally said when he started, he took too and he fell over. I shouldn't laugh. And hit his head. It was terrible. And I almost fell over and passed out. And my mom and my friend Lisa, who did it the other day. And then after we get good with it, right? After we can figure out our process, our what works for us, and we start to dig deeper into the breath, then we realize, oh, now I can take in more air. And now we slow the heart. And now we're able to synergize and be mellow. And we can use the breath when we feel our anger, frustration showing up, or we feel conflict coming up. We can just breathe. I always have to tell myself, Natalie, breathe. Just breathe. And I'm like, breathe. Just breathe. Okay. So there you have it. We'll continue on this book. I really like it. I was reading some other stuff ahead. It's pretty cool. Pretty good book. I mean, it has a lot of insightful information on different journeys of different people who have experienced Kundalini and what it meant to them. Now, remember, everybody's process is different. Everybody has their own unique way of expression and own unique way of engaging in the practice. Okay, awesome. So you have it. Have a great, fantastical day. I think today's Thursday. Is it Thursday, you guys? I think so. Have a good Thursday because I believe it's Thursday. I hope I'm right about that. So have a great Thursday. Okay, thanks, Poetic. I forget what day it is, and sometimes no one tells me. And the other day I was saying, have a happy Tuesday, and it was like Friday, and I don't even know anymore. Have a good day. And I will be seeing you guys tomorrow for Friday, our Funky Friday. And we'll continue on this. And if you guys have any more advice for me, for those of you on later about dating, let me know. I would love to hear it. Okay. How can I see you? Poetic, Facebook, yes, I'm on Facebook. I do Facebook Lives along with this, which is why I don't take any call-ins on podcasts because, or Podbean, because I'm on Facebook Live. can do a love reading. I can do a love reading. Okay, oracle cards. Oh, cool. What cards do you read? Sorry, we'll just go with this real quick. What oracle cards do you have? I have the High Priestess, whole shift. Oh yeah, you've told me about it. 11 decks. Oh yeah. Okay. I'll go take a look at whole shift right now. Yes, I'm on Facebook at Spirit and Coffee 1, I believe it is. Yeah. Whole E shift. That's right. Whole E shift. Holy shift. Whole energy shift. Yes, you told me that last time. I never went. I'm sorry for totally puke. See, amnesia pretty quickly. Okay. Okay. I'll go take a look at that now. And then yeah, I'd like a oracle reading. That'd be awesome. I love that. I do readings as well. So I'll go take a look at that. So yay, thank you guys. Have a great day. And I will be seeing you all tomorrow. Bye.